This is the Embodied Performance Podcast, episode 24. I'm Nick Markey, Beach Barbell, physical therapy and performance and strength training, and soon to be opening a new gym very soon in Wilmington, North Carolina. Check out beachbarbell.com for more details. This week we've been kind of running with the theme of focusing on talking about strength training. Yesterday we started with sort of the definition of strength training compared to maybe the broader umbrella of under exercise and some various types and modalities of it. Today I want to talk about something that's a common question I get, but relating to maybe sets, reps, frequency, rest, that kind of thing. Usually the question is, how many should I do? So basically you have, if you just look at the framework of going and lifting weights, you have, different sizes of schemes, right? So you have maybe looking at a week, okay? So your 7-day week, how many times is the person going to train? Depending on your program or how you like to do it, if you like to do maybe full body, maybe you don't want to go as often. So maybe you're looking at maybe 2, 3, up to 5 times a week, where you do each day you do maybe full body. So you'll do a little bit of legs, a little bit of core, some upper body pushing movements where you're pushing things away from you, or where your hands are moving away from you, versus upper body pulling movements where you're pulling something towards you, or your hands are moving towards you, arms are moving towards you. So like the full body day would encompass a little bit of everything in there. Versus some people like to focus more on other, like certain parts, like, they might have like a leg day, maybe an upper body day, or sometimes they split the upper body day into several different days. So some people do a shoulder day, some people do an arms day, some people do a chest day or a back day. So they kind of split the upper body in many different parts. So when you are just beginning, you could probably do well for the first few months doing a kind of a body area per day. So like maybe for Monday, International Bench Day, you do chest, and then Tuesday maybe you do back, Wednesday maybe you take Wednesday off or do legs, or legs on Thursday, and then maybe shoulders and arms Friday, something like that. So basically you're doing one body part per week, body area per week, and then letting that recover. You could, even if you're a beginner, you could also do the full body day where you do legs, push, pull, core, so maybe somewhere like 3 to 5 exercises when you go in, split up between the different areas. If you do that 3 times a week for a beginner is pretty good. Gives you that day off between, maybe you do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you take the weekend off. Also gives you time to, on your days off, to focus maybe on more aerobic cardio activities that you like to do. Maybe hiking, swimming, biking, running, walking, whatever it is you like to do. As you get more advanced, that one body area per week probably isn't as optimal. When now we're starting to talk about frequency, so that would be like 1 times a week. The research shows that twice a week seems to be more optimal than once a week. So depending on how you set it up, this might turn into 5 to 6 days of training a week. But again, if you do full body, you can split that up and maybe turn it into 4 to 5 days per week where you do full body each day, but just do slightly different areas each time. But for instance, if you say that you were going to do 10 sets of chest on Monday, maybe you split that up between 5 sets on Monday and 5 on Thursday. The research has shown that is superior where you split it up, or you do it twice a week, because you're not going to be as fatigued. So those first 5 sets, maybe you're pretty strong and feeling pretty good, but as you kind of move through your session, you get tired. And so you start to maybe not be able to do as much near the end of the workout. So if you split it up to a different day, you can actually apply yourself more to that other day, which is why I think doing the full body work, I personally like that, because you can, one, you kind of get you get some variety in the session, and 2, you're not fatiguing the area near as much, and so you can perhaps commit yourself more to that lift. So that's frequency. So how many times maybe per week that you do it. And, there's nothing necessarily special about the week, but it is a more simple way to kind of, calendar scheme your programming around. Next, you have sets and reps. And if you look at what seems to be for muscle growth, the best evidence we have suggests that what's called volume seems to be the most important thing for muscle growth. And I think tomorrow I'll kind of split this up. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about the different rep ranges and whatnot for choices. Today I'm just going to kind of give a broad overview of the different ideas. But anyway, so volume is just a physics equation. Basically, it's work. So it's force times distance. So if you just look at that practically, like say that I'm doing a bench press, the bar, we'll say it starts at my chest and then I push it all the way up to where my arms are straight. So first it starts at my chest, my arms are bent, and then I push it all the way up where my arms are all the way straight. That distance from my chest to where the bar goes up and ends would be the distance, and me pushing it is the force. So that would be the work. In a more practical standpoint, you can figure that if you're doing more or less full range of motion, you can kind of not worry about the distance part of the equation, but you just look at maybe more the tension side. So the volume turns into how much weight are you doing? So the bar weighs 45 pounds. So let's just, use that. So the 45-pound bar, and then how many sets? So sets are just groupings of reps. So like say that I did 10 reps, but then I did 3 sets. So total of 30. So 3 times 10. So like I would do 10 reps and then take a short break. Doesn't have to be short, but you take a break and then you do another set of 10, take a break, do another set of 10. Splitting things up into sets, again, is to help manage fatigue, because if you just try to do 30 straight, maybe you couldn't do 30 straight. Maybe you could only get to 22, 23 or something, and before you just failed, and then you're super fatigued and maybe you couldn't push much more after that. So splitting it up into sets allows you to manage that fatigue more, and be able to commit yourself more to the exercise. So that means that, so we talked about the bar. So the 45 times 3 sets times 10, you get a number. Not going to do the math in my head right now, but you get a number, and that's your total volume for that lift. And so your goal is to gradually over time, weeks, months, years to gradually increase volume is over time. Now, there's going to be ups and downs in that because you're going to have days where you're not feeling as good and maybe you don't do as much volume that day, but you still do some work. And then you're going to have times where maybe you plateau a little bit, where volume kind of stays the same. And you're going to have times where maybe things dip down. You know, life happens. Maybe you go through a life event. Maybe you get an injury. So there's going to be ups and downs with this. But to drive muscle growth, you're trying to get that volume number up. And if you think about the equation, you have 3 variables you can manipulate, right? You have the weight, you have the sets, and you have the reps. So maybe you talked about doing the 45-pound bar. Well, maybe after doing those 3 sets of 10 that first day, and then maybe I decide to do that again a few days later. Well, I could add weight, right? I could also keep the weight the same, but then maybe do 3 sets of 12. So I just added maybe 6 total more reps. So I added 6 times 45 pounds more volume, more work. So, or maybe I decided to do a 4th set of 10. So I added 10 more total reps. So there's different ways you can manipulate that. And there is seemingly maybe a cap of total volume that is optimal. Like, it's one of those things where more is better up to a point, before fatigue starts to overtake you, and maybe you're not able to push as much, and maybe you're just slightly wasting your time. You're better off at some point maybe just stopping and going to recover, and then returning a later day and working it again. So to kind of overview again, the programming setup, you have, let's say, the week. You have, deciding if you're going to do, upper and lower body splits. So maybe like upper one day, lower body the other day, versus doing more whole body, frequency. So how much you challenge a certain, body area, body part, per week. And then you have, within those each day, how many sets of the exercises that you do for each body part, and then how many reps, and then of course the weight that you do. So that makes up that equation of volume. And then looking at total weekly volume is kind of where you should be focusing on in terms of trying to improve your strength and muscle growth. So to just kind of give just to repeat that frequency idea, if, going back to that bench pressing idea, like, you did the 3 sets of 10. Well, what if you decide to do it once a week? So you decided, I'll just do it all in one sitting. I'll do 6 sets of 10, times 45. Well, what if those last few sets, you couldn't get to 10? You can only get to 7, 8, 6, because you're getting tired. Versus I decide to do it on its own day, and maybe I just do the exact same thing. I do 3 sets of 10 the next day, after a few days rest of that area. Well, now I most likely am going to get to that 3 sets of 10. So my total volume from that is going to be better. Or maybe I decide to do a little bit more weight, and I'm able to do the 3 sets of 10. So again, volume greater. So it's just looking at ways of scheming it where you are challenging yourself, but you're trying to manage that fatigue. You see parallels with that with, like, if you're studying for something, you can sit there for hours on end studying for something, and up to a certain point, you're probably getting good information. But after a while, you're gonna need a break. You're gonna need to, probably do something different. And so, kind of the same idea, where you split it up. You might go do something. You might go for a walk, or go play a game, or something to give your brain, for the exercise you're doing for your brain, a rest. So I would think of the training same way, trying to kind of maximize your time and also your energy, and not trying to blow out all your energy so you can still live a good life, enjoyable life, and over time make those gains that you're trying to with your strength and muscles. All right. So I think that'll be good for today. Again, I'm Nick Markey, Beach Barbell, physical therapy, performance and strength training. Opening up a gym very soon. Again, check beachbarbell.com for details. Thank you. Bye.